Hi everyone, it's Erin from the Provincial Farmhouse. Today we're going to be creating some French country kitchen decor out of some thrifted finds. We're going to be using the traditional pots and Brocante transfers, the crockery stamp and the Chateau paint inlay. We're also going to be using the Trimmings 3 mold and Jovi air dry clay. You can find a full product list in the description of this video and all your crafting needs on our website theprovincialfarmhouse.com.au. Let's get started. I found this bread bin at the thrift store and I've always wanted to give one a makeover, so I definitely grabbed it. My first step was to clean it really well with Dixie Belle's White Lightning and to rinse off the cleaner. This was pretty dirty given that it's been in the kitchen, so it had a lot of that kitchen fuzz, that build-up of grease and grime, so it took a lot of elbow grease to get it clean. Once it was clean, I came in with a couple of coats of Dixie Belle's Drop Cloth Chalk Mineral Paint. This is a beautiful antiqued white and it's a lovely bright color, so I feel like it's really going to refresh this piece. This bread bin has a little door that rolls back up inside itself, so I had to be careful not to get too much paint build up. It had to be able to close again. I decided to paint the inside of the bread bin as well to give it a refresh, and I'm using Dixie Belle's Vintage Duck Egg. I feel like this is such a beautiful color and it goes really beautifully with the drop cloth that we used on the outside. So I'm going to give the inside of this 2 coats. Again, I'm being careful not to get it into the little runners on the side there. And if I see any paint buildup, I am using some sandpaper and a screwdriver to make sure that I'm not going to have any trouble opening and closing it. I'm also going around the outside and I'm distressing the piece. I do love my decor to look a bit more vintage, so this distressing is really going to add to that effect. I'm then grabbing the Brocante transfer. This is 8 pages of beautiful French style transfers. There's so many beautiful things to choose from here. If you haven't checked out my last video, I did a video where I created a lot of French country artworks using this transfer, so definitely check that out if you love French country. So I decided that I wanted to grab some typography. Now I thought about adding the larger typography under the clock there, and I did cut that out just to see how it would look along the front of the bread bin, but I also really loved this one here with the patisserie, and I felt like that actually would fit it better, but it felt like it was too small. So I had a little bit of a play around, laid each design on the front of the door, and just really felt like I could turn the patisserie one into what I wanted by cutting it out and spreading it out. So I sort of laid it against the bread bin just to work out how the spacing was going to look before I got started. I decided to grab the traditional pots transfer. There's an element in that transfer where there's some flowers and some lettering that I decided I would just take the florals there and cut them away, and I felt like adding those to the Brocante design definitely finished it off. So I'm using some masking tape to carefully plot out my design so that I can see how it's going to look before I start transferring it. So this was a bit of an odd angle. I had to do it this way so that you guys could see what I was doing, so that I could also see my design. So I hope that this angle is showing you to the best advantage. So I'm grabbing my transfer stick and I am peeling off the backing and then pressing the design down, and I'm rubbing and burnishing. It does not take much effort to get these transfers to adhere. So definitely don't be afraid to cut out and create the design that you want out of the transfers. That is the beauty of the IOD transfers, is you have that freedom to do that and you can create something really unique and beautiful. Once I have all of my transfer down, I'm going to seal the entire bread box using Dixie Belle's Gloss Clear Coat. This is going to protect my transfer and my bread box. I'm then coming in with a little flathead screwdriver to further distress the piece. So I'm just running the screwdriver along some of those little slats there just to create a little bit more of a rustic look. This bread box also came with a little pull-out cutting board, so I'm going to leave that. I like the wood tone, but I am giving it a really good clean. And here's our finished French country bread box. I'm really happy with how this turned out. Let me know in the comments what you think about this project. Our next project is this sweet little ceramic canister. I think I paid about $1 for it. I loved the shape, but I did not love the design on it. So I am, after cleaning it, adding 2 coats of Dixie Belle's Slick Stick Bonding Primer. I just want to make sure that my paint is going to stick really well onto this lovely canister. So as I'm painting, I'm being very careful not to go too far over the rim with my paint. I want my lid to be able to close properly. After letting the canister sit for 24 hours, I am coming in with Dixie Belle's Drop Cloth. Again, I love this color. You're definitely going to see it more throughout this video, and I am painting on 2 coats of this beautiful color all over the canister. Next, we're going to be doing something that I've seen a few creators do, and we're going to use our crockery stamp to make an impression in some clay for a label for our canister. I'm cutting out this lovely cream one. I like to keep the backing on my stamp where I can. I'm dusting a thin mount that I'm using with some cornstarch, and then I'm going to use a rolling pin to roll out some of my Jovi air dry clay. I want it to be about 2 mil thick. I am then going to press my stamp into the clay and gently use my roller to make the impression. I'm then going to come in with a craft knife, and I'm actually going to trim around the edge of my clay. Once I've cut a border around my design, I'm going to carefully peel the clay back, and I'll do a couple of other little trimmings there just to get it to the shape that I want. And then I'm going to use a little metal spatula. I think this is actually my Cricut spatula, and I've got my label ready. I'm then going to come in with a strong wood glue, and I'm making sure I've got it all over the back of the label, and then I'm going to carefully press it down. Next, I'm going to come in with some more drop cloth chalk mineral paint, and I'm going to carefully paint over the top of my imprint there that I've created. I find that I get less cracking if I paint before my clay is completely dry. Once my clay and paint is dry, I'm coming in with Dixie Belle's Gloss Clear Coat. I'm then going to pour a little bit of Dixie Belle's Tobacco Road Voodoo Gel Stain out, and I am using a small artist brush to paint in the details of the impression that I made from the crockery stamp. So I'm making sure that I work it down into all of those details there, and then I'm going to get a wet wipe and I'm going to wipe back just the top, so I want the Tobacco Road stain to sit in those details. I'm then going to add some more of the same product around the bottom and the top of the canister just to give it a little bit more age, and I'm wiping back a lot of it with a wet wipe. I'm also adding a little bit of the stain to the lid and wiping that back as well. Before I reveal this piece, we're going to work on this little utensil holder here. This is a lovely crockery piece, but it is from the 80s, so it does look a bit dated. So after giving it a good clean, I am going to come in with some more of Dixie Belle's Drop Cloth Chalk Mineral Paint. Now, I did not use a bonding primer on this because even though it is somewhat of a smooth surface, it still felt pretty porous to me. So for something that is just going to hold utensils, I thought that it would be fine. So after just one coat, it already looked amazing. You could see all the beautiful curves and lines in this piece, and it really just gave it new life. So I'm adding a second coat here, and then once that's dry, I'm coming in with Dixie Belle's Gloss Clear Coat to seal the entire piece. I'm then grabbing my Tobacco Road Voodoo gel stain again, and I'm repeating a similar process here. I'm dabbing the stain into the details of that utensils label there, and then I'm going to use a wet wipe to wipe it back from the high points, letting that stain sit in the details. I'm also going to add a little bit around that bottom indent there, and also a little bit around the top. The beauty of sealing your projects before you come in with any glaze or stain like I am is that you have the freedom to wipe it back or add more where needed. You really can get it looking exactly the way that you want. And here are our finished ceramic pieces. I just love how that crockery stamp indented label came out. I'm definitely going to be doing more of those. Let me know what you think of these projects in the comments. Our final project is this little wooden stand that I found. I think I paid $1 for it, so it's made of wood. I always grab wooden items if I see them. It had these little plastic feet on them. They were not cute. They did not rise it up enough, so I took those off using a flathead screwdriver. I'm going to glue on these little wooden beads using my hot glue gun. This is going to lift it up enough so that it looks like a cute little riser. I'm then going to give the riser a coat of Dixie Belle's Drop Cloth Chalk Mineral Paint. I'm going to be painting the top and the bottom. Next, I grabbed my Trimmings 3 mould and some Jovi air dry clay, and after I have dusted my mould with cornstarch, I'm going to start pressing my clay into one of the trimming designs there. I thought that it would look really cute if I added some trim around the outside border of my riser. So I'm running my thumb along the micro rim there and then very carefully pulling my moulds out. I'm going to have to make 3 of those, and then you'll see shortly that I did have to make a smaller version of this so that it would connect properly. I'm using a strong wood glue on the back of my molds, making sure that I've got them entirely covered, and then I'm attaching them to the riser. IOD's trimming molds are designed so that you are able to connect the different parts of the trim seamlessly. So these are very easy to work with. I did come up a little bit short there, as you can see, so I am going to cast a little bit more of the trim there, and then I'll be able to glue the last piece down. This little piece was just a little bit short of fitting perfectly, but I really feel like you're not going to be able to notice once I paint it. Once all the castings are glued down, I'm coming in with a coat of Dixie Belle's Drop Cloth, and I'm being gentle because my castings are still pretty fresh. Next, I'm going to be using IOD's Chateau Paint Inlay. This is a beautiful French style design. It is a larger design, but you can break it down into smaller images. So this is one part of it. Now I have used this one before, so this is going to be the second use of this paint inlay. So I'm setting those to one side and I'm going to apply a generous coat of drop cloth chalk mineral paint, and I'm just being careful to make sure that I have the entire area where the inlay is going to go covered. I'm then going to mist my paint a little bit more just to get a little bit more moisture in there, and then I'm going to carefully press my paint inlay design side down into the paint. So you want to see the grid side facing you. I'm also just making sure here that my image is going to meet at the middle and join together as seamlessly as possible. I'm then going to mist the paint inlay and I'm going to come in with a brayer just to smooth the design down. You could also use a damp sponge. After about 35 minutes, my inlay is dry. You can see that it's faded. So I'm going to come in with my mister again and I'm going to thoroughly dampen the inlay, and then I'm going to give it about 60 seconds. I'm then going to come in and I'm going to very gently start to pull the inlay away. If you feel resistance, come back in with some more water, let it sit for another 30 seconds and then start to pull your design away again. So remember, this is the second use of this inlay, so it is going to look a bit more faded, but I am loving this more vintage looking design. I'm going to sit these off to one side because I may get another use out of them. I'm then coming in with some 220 grit sandpaper just to smooth off some of those rough edges that were created by the creases in my inlay. I'm then going to seal the entire design with a mix of 50% water and 50% clear coat. When that's dry, I'm going to seal the whole thing with gloss clear coat. Next, I'm going to use some sandpaper and also a flathead screwdriver to do a bit more distressing around the edges of our riser. Following that, I'm coming in with Dixie Belle's Au Naturel Voodoo Gel Stain, and I'm going to brush it on the outside of the riser, and because I have my gloss clear coat down, I'm going to be able to wipe back a lot of that so that it just tones the paint and sits in the details. I'm also going to be adding a little bit into the center part of the design as well, but I'm going to wipe a lot of that back. I just want to give this a bit more of a vintage worn look. I'm then coming in with Tobacco Road Voodoo Gel Stain. I love this combination, so I'm adding that over the top of where the Au Naturel went, and again I'm wiping a lot of that back. I just love the tone and age that combining these two stains creates. You could also use glaze or wax to get a similar look if you're going to give this a try at home. Finally, I'm grabbing one of my favorite products, Dixie Belle's Gold Gilding Wax, and I'm adding just hints of the wax around the outside, just a subtle hint of that. I don't want to go overboard. And here's our finished riser. I just love how this turned out. Let me know what you think of this project in the comments. I really hope that you enjoyed today's video and that it's inspired you to maybe take some thrifted finds and create some decor for your kitchen. Please hit that like button if you liked today's video, and if you're not already, I would love it if you could hit that subscribe button and the notification bell so that you don't miss out on any of our projects. You can find all the products used on today's video on our website, theprovincialfarmhouse.com.au. Thanks for watching.